Henry David Thoreau, Walden. Embark on a journey to discover the true essence of life, as the book summary of Henry David Thoreau's Walden offers insights into living simply and in harmony with nature. Delve into the 4 essential aspects of life: food, shelter, clothing, and fuel, as Thoreau navigates the challenges and joys of building and living in a cabin by Walden Pond. Explore the significance of solitude, the beauty of nature's music, and the value of self-sufficiency in demystifying the complexities of modern living. Learn the art of simplicity and the importance of meaningful life experiences through the lens of this profound book summary.
Breaking Free. The book argues that most people are trapped in a cycle of fear and anxiety, working tirelessly with the false hope of liberation, only to be bound by their own desires. According to the author, this leaves people disillusioned, living stagnant lives void of meaning. The experiences of others are unsuitable for guidance. Henry David Thoreau's approach is presented as a way of identifying true necessities, breaking away from the monotonous grind and living a fulfilling life in harmony with nature. The burden of owning a house. To live off-grid successfully, you only need to meet the basic human needs of food, shelter, clothing, and fuel. However, in society, people tend to care more about their looks and social status than their comfort. Owning a house has become a representation of success, but in reality, it has become a heavy burden that forces people to take on debts and pay them off for decades. The modern world has reduced the population to paying rent, and many indigent individuals live in shanties less dignified than any other dwelling. It's unclear whether people own the house or the house owns them. It's important to understand that basic human needs can be met with a simple dwelling. Walden's economic architecture. Thoreau's minimalist approach to architecture, deluxe living, an elevation of mankind. In his book, Thoreau narrates the process of building his cottage at Walden Pond in 1845. With just $28, he was able to build a 10 by 15-foot cottage without any luxurious knickknacks. According to the author, luxuries and so-called comforts of life are not indispensable, but instead, they hinder mankind's elevation. True architectural beauty comes from within. It is born from the needs of the inhabitant, who builds the house to fit his purposes. Thoreau advises students to build their houses to avoid paying outrageous sums as annual rent. The types of houses that painters seek the most for their picturesque beauty are the log huts and cottages of the poor. To furnish the house, Thoreau's neighbors had old furniture gathering dust in their garrets. Furniture and household goods are easy to get, and one can get most of it for free. In summary, Thoreau's minimalist approach to architecture and deluxe living is a reminder that true architectural beauty comes from within, built to fit the inhabitants' needs. One can achieve this by avoiding the luxurious vanities of life, resulting in a more fulfilling and simpler life. The simple life. Thoreau discovers the easy and affordable way to sustain himself and concludes that people should live true to themselves instead of trying to please society. Thoreau believes that being self-reliant is not hard, and he proves this by growing beans on 2.5 acres in the first year, followed by other necessary crops on 1/3 of an acre in the second year. With expenses of $62 and revenues of $37, he is down $25 but is a proud homeowner. Thoreau enjoys his own bread made of rye, Indian corn, and pumpkin molasses, despite elderly people predicting a quick demise without yeast. He disagrees with society's emphasis on do-gooding, finding it superficial and insincere as most philanthropists are unhappy themselves. Instead, he advocates for people to live according to their beliefs, even if society disapproves. Although some criticize him for being selfish, living a lonely life, and not caring about his fellow humans, Thoreau stands by his beliefs, content and self-sufficient. The true meaning of life. The real purpose of life is not materialistic but spiritual, achieved through solitude and immersion in nature's gifts. Simplifying habits, slowing down and sharpening awareness can help in this pursuit. One should refrain from chasing after news and fashion but focus on what's truly important: such as reading good books and investing in education and fine arts. Nature holds the key to spiritual awakening, and the charm of needing little lies in experiencing the truth about life. As Thoreau said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." Thoreau's reflections on nature and hospitality. Thoreau shares his admiration for the marvels of nature and reflects on the impact of solitude and hospitality on personal growth and meaningful relationships. Thoreau's appreciation for nature is evident in his vivid descriptions of the different sounds and melodies he hears. He believes that solitude in nature enhances one's awareness of the world's wonders and that frequent visits from friends could dull one's senses. While good company and rare visits can be inspiring and invigorating, they shouldn't distract one's attention from nature's symphony. Thoreau embraces simplicity and prefers to focus on meaningful conversations rather than materialistic pleasures. Despite his humble lifestyle, Thoreau enjoys the company of many visitors during his 2-year stay in the woods. However, he warns against the type of guests who expect to be waited on and don't know when to leave. Thoreau values authentic connections and detests superficial relationships based on obligations and expectations. Therefore, he invites guests to listen to nature's concert, engage in meaningful conversations, and leave their egos behind. In summary, Thoreau's reflections on nature and hospitality encourage us to embrace simplicity, cherish meaningful relationships, and appreciate the marvels of the world around us. Thoreau's farming and philosophical endeavors. Thoreau's experience living in solitude at Walden Pond involved not just introspection and contemplation but also farming and labor. He plants a significant amount of bean crops without much equipment and manages to grow a surplus that he trades for rice. Although he receives ridicule from travelers for farming without modern tools, Thoreau decides to plant fewer crops and more seeds of sincerity, truth, simplicity, faith, and innocence. However, this plan does not yield a good crop. Thoreau spends his mornings reading, writing, and working and his afternoons attending to local businesses. His return to his solitary cottage is always an adventure in pitch darkness. Thoreau is arrested one day for refusing to pay taxes to protest slavery and chooses not to resist, allowing the state to fight him instead. Thoreau's reverence for nature and despair for society. Thoreau finds solace in the beauty of Walden Pond, where even the seemingly ordinary inspires him. However, his encounters with his poor Irish neighbors leave him disenchanted with society's imbalances. Thoreau's alternative living showcases how one can live simply and still experience abundance. In Walden, Thoreau demonstrates his deep appreciation for the natural world. Walden Pond, in particular, holds a special place in his heart. Thoreau spends summer nights catching fish, listening to the sounds of the forest, and contemplating the cosmos. These activities provide him with a sense of inner peace that he finds hard to come by in society. The pond is teeming with life, from colorful fish to birds and tortoises. Thoreau's enthusiasm for these creatures is a testament to his reverence for nature's beauty. However, Thoreau's idyllic life at Walden is in stark contrast to the abject poverty his Irish neighbors endure. Thoreau despairs over the class divisions that exist in society. He tells his neighbor that the luxuries enjoyed by one class are responsible for the indigence of another. In Thoreau's view, the rich live off the backs of the poor. Thoreau offers a refreshing alternative to this inhumane existence. He showcases how one can live simply and still experience abundance. Thoreau's humble living consists of basic necessities and what nature provides, making him self-sufficient. Ultimately, Thoreau's experience at Walden Pond unravels his disillusionment with society. His reverence for nature and disdain for the human-made world speaks to the importance of finding joy in the simplicity of life, and how the natural world deserves protection. Thoreau's take on vegetarianism. Thoreau believes that being pure in every aspect of life, including diet, is essential for purity seekers. He muses that it's not just about taking a life but the filthiness of consuming animal products. Even indulging in sensory pleasures such as coffee, tea, or sex can feed the animal within us. However, he acknowledges that not everyone can live a pure life or follow a vegetarian diet. He also believes that hunting and fishing can play a crucial role in boys' initiation into manhood, but hopes they pursue higher goals, such as becoming naturalists or philosophers. Thoreau's wildlife encounters. Thoreau's stay in the woods allowed him to observe various animals and birds. A wild mouse, a small bird, a robin, a partridge hen with her chicks, and even ants became his companions. Thoreau watched a fierce battle between two types of ants and deduced their similarity to humans. As the fall arrived, he gathered berries and winter-proofed his lodge, building a fireplace and chimney and plastering the house. With the first snowstorms and heavy frosts, he spent most of his hours outdoors, collecting dead wood to keep warm. Winter visitors. Thoreau's experience with animals during winter in Walden. Thoreau's Walden is swarmed by animals during winter as they become more visible with human visitors dwindling. Apart from pests like moles, a hare takes refuge under his flooring, foxes bark, squirrels scurry about while the hoot owl sings her melancholic song. He also cuts a hole through the pond's icy layer for water, and Irish ice cutters show up once to cut and sell the ice. Thoreau is surprised how people can believe in the bottomlessness of a pond without sounding it. This chapter gives an insight into Thoreau's relationship with nature. Thoreau's love for spring and life. Thoreau finds immense pleasure in the sights, sounds, and smells of the advancing spring. He witnesses new life emerging everywhere, and the arrival of the first sparrow, bluebird, and redwing makes him feel like nature is born again. Thoreau believes that people waste too much energy on hasty enterprises and material gains and should instead focus on living and loving life as it is. Despite leaving Walden Pond, he feels that dwelling in a cabin or exploring the world wouldn't make him any wiser about the rivers and oceans within himself. He aims to live as many new ways as possible, avoiding well-trodden paths, and discovering infinite riches inside himself. Thoreau reminds us that if we do not keep pace with our companions, perhaps it is because we hear a different drummer, and we should embrace our individuality. Through Thoreau's love for spring and life, we are inspired to cherish the simple pleasures and seek the true riches that lie within ourselves.
Through the experiences shared in the book summary of Walden, readers can appreciate the profound wisdom gained by returning to a simpler way of life, free from social pressures and consumerist desires. Thoreau's journey living in harmony with nature demonstrates the value of solitude, self-sufficiency, and finding true wealth within. In the end, it is essential to reevaluate our life priorities, focus on our inner selves, and cherish the simple pleasures that life has to offer. Walden serves as a timeless reminder to slow down, appreciate the beauty of the natural world around us, and truly live each moment in life.